Hello everyone, welcome to Screen Scream on Viola. In today's episode, we're going to talk about movies that seem to be a perfect situation to say the best laid plans. In newly released session, we're going to talk about one classic re-released and one new movie. And all the movies we're going to talk about today involve some crises that are difficult to solve. Well, I think that happens in every movie, right? Anyway, let's listen to the introduction of the first new movie we're going to talk about today. 5 centimeters per second. Takagi and Akari, two very close friends and classmates, attended elementary school together. One day, they cannot be together anymore because of Akari's family. Their plans to attend the same middle school are now shattered. The two continue to keep in touch via mails. However, as time goes by, the distance between the two grows larger and larger, making the possibility for them to meet again almost impossible. What fate awaits Takagi and Akari, and will they be able to meet again? The first new movie we're going to talk about today is actually a classic re-released by director Shinkai Makoto. If you still remember, a few weeks ago, we introduced a short film of director Shinkai Makoto that was also classic re-released because one of the Taiwanese publishers are going to release a series of classic re-release of director Shinkai Makoto, and of course 1 centimeters per second is one of the movies they're going to launch. And after listening to the introduction, I realized that one of the characters actually is going to move away right after the graduation of elementary school. I thought they actually haven't seen each other after the graduation for a while, so now I think that's more reasonable. But I don't necessarily see it as a bad thing. I mean, of course, I have the experience that I had some good friends in elementary school, but because they moved away or something, or it's just because we went to different middle school and we lost contact of each other, I would say I would still be very happy to see my best friends again. But it's not necessarily a bad thing that we lost contact because people grow up and we will have different group of friends. Not that we forget our old friends, it's just that our circle of life is different. We went to different universities. We have different interests. Maybe we join different interest groups, etc. So things like these would make us stay far from each other. And I don't know, if fate permits, we will meet again, so don't worry. But in this movie, 5 centimeters per second, this is the topic we're going to see and figure out how they're going to see each other again. Now let's move on to the second new movie we're going to talk about today. The Promised Land. The poor soldier Ludwig Kachlen arrives in 1755 on the barren Jutland Heath with a single goal: to follow the king's call to cultivate the land and thereby achieve wealth and honor himself. But Kachlen quickly makes an enemy. The merciless landowner, Frederick de Schinkel, who is sole ruler of the area, believes that the heath belongs to him and not the king. When de Schinkel's serf runs away with his wife, Anne Barbara, and seeks refuge with Kachlen, the landowner does everything to drive Kachlen away and at the same time exact a cruel revenge. Kachlen does not bow, but stubbornly takes up the unequal battle and now risks both his life, but also the bond with the small, troubled family that has arisen around him on the heath.
Er du kommet til at lykkes med?
The second new movie we're going to talk about today is a Danish film. I don't know if it's related to religion because the movie's titled The Promised Land. But from the introduction we just heard, I don't think it's related to religion at all. It's just related to a whole new world that's unexplored. It was selected into the competition at Venice Film Festival, and it's a history movie acted by Mads Mikkelsen. As we heard in the introduction, the protagonist, Ludwig Kagran, doesn't want to bow down. He decides to fight until the very end in this unequal battle. Before The Promised Land is going to be released in Taiwan, it was actually selected at the Golden Horse Fantastic Film Festival in April. And when the schedule was announced, everyone was so crazy about it. Movieaholics paid extra attention to it, and the time slots on the weekend were sold out right away. But now it's going to be released, so there's no need to fight for a ticket. Well, maybe you still need to, but it will be much easier. The leading actor, Mads Mikkelsen, won the Best Leading Actor at the 36th European Film Festival with this movie, and this is the accolade he got once again after he already got it with another round. Something interesting about this movie, The Promised Land, is that this is the cooperation between Danish director Nicolaj Osso and Mads Mikkelsen, since they cooperated with each other 11 years ago. Talking about cooperating with Mads Mikkelsen once again, the director said that he likes every moment working with Mads, and they really challenge each other, propel each other, but they never fight against each other. So you can imagine this movie is produced under a very peaceful environment and atmosphere. So if you like Mads Mikkelsen or you'd like to try some Danish film, this is the choice for you this weekend. And before we move on to Top 007, talking about some trending movies recently, let's review what we had from last week first. We had two top threes, Hijacking and Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. Top 2 was Bad Boys 4, and top 1, Inside Out 2. I don't see a lot of changes in this week's chart, but there are some new faces. So let's listen to top 7 to top 4 first and see which one we're going to talk about. Top 6, Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes.
There are dangers.
The Chronicles of Libidoid.
我现在好想冲过去投抱你啊！
你有给他专属权。
Top 5, The Garfield Movie.
You hungry, little guy?
Top 4, A Quiet Place, Day 1.
I have a plan.
The Bike Riders.
I like you guys.
Boyfriends are getting into trouble.
Wow, there are 5 movies from top 7 to top 4 this week. Super crowded. And we have several new faces. The Chronicles of Libidoists, it's a Taiwanese movie, which is very trending recently, but I will save it for later, I guess. And we also have The Bike Riders, which is going to be released in Taiwan in August. So today, I'd like to talk about A Quiet Place, Day 1, because this is the only new face on the chart this week that's in the theater in both the US and Taiwan. So first of all, yes, it's a horror. So if you know me, you would know that I don't particularly like horror. Basically, I don't watch them. But A Quiet Place is not about ghosts. Yes, there are monsters, but they're not ghosts. So it's okay for me. I didn't go to watch it voluntarily and not when it was in the theater on myself. I think I only watched the first episode when I was on the plane. I really like it actually. And before it was released, I looked forward to this new episode very much because it's actually the prequel. So it talks about how people first encountered the monsters and how they reacted to it. I think that's pretty interesting. For example, there are more shocking, thrilling scenes from the very beginning. Like right from the start of the movie, there's invasive scenes of the alien creatures. The director said that each scene has its individual purposes, values, and meanings. Some people like the tensions, some people prefer horror sections, and some other people like action scenes more. But for me, of course, I don't like the scary parts. And the art team actually created a set of New York in London. That would be the place where the protagonists run to the buildings or hide in the subway. So you would think it's New York, but it's actually not. It's in London. And the director wanted to allow the audience to experience the whole process with the characters. So you would experience something very different from the previous two episodes, like I mentioned. In the previous two episodes, we discovered how to tackle the alien creatures and their characteristics. But in this episode, we're trying to figure out how the monsters communicate with each other and how they gather into a group. I would say that New York is a very strange and noisy big city for the creatures. So it's very easy for them to be attracted by all the different sounds from the transportations and all the sirens, things like that. So it would be very interesting to know how people in this world learn about the creature from the very beginning. And let's move on to top 3 to top 1 and see what movies are we going to talk about. Top 3, Detective Conan the movie, The $1 Million Pentagram. Top 2, Bad Boys 4.
Call 911. Aren't you the police? Hey, Reggie, did you eat my snacks?
No, sir.
Top 1, Inside Out 2.
Hello? Ah! I'm anxiety. Where can I put my stuff?
A new emotion.
Oh, I'm sorry. We wanted to make such a good...
Okay, we talked about Detective Conan the movie, The $1 Million Pentagram, last week when it was going to be released, and it's top 3 this week. On the other side, Bad Boys 4 and Inside Out 2 stay on the same position as last week, so let me briefly go through all of them in this section. First of all, Detective Conan the movie. Well, watching Conan the first thing during summer break is everyone in Taiwan's first priority. But I haven't seen Conan during summer break for a long time. One of my friends who went to the screening before it was released said that in this episode, the fighting scenes are crazy. You won't even be able to imagine where they're going to fight, especially because you will see Conan skateboarding on something that's illogical. I assume it will be on the water. I'm not giving out spoilers, I haven't seen it, but because this episode is related to cruise trip, so I assume Conan will skateboard on the ocean. That's my guess. So you can tell me if I'm right or wrong when you go see it. Top 2, Bad Boys. We've talked about this movie for several times so far. I want to share my thoughts if I'm going to watch it. What I want to see in this new episode is something that's nostalgic. Because this series is 30 years old. It's about the same age as I am. So for me, I basically grew up with this series. So I hope to see something familiar, something that would remind me of the good old days when I watched it before. And that's my thought. Last but not least, Inside Out 2. I have to admit that I don't have any intention to watch it anytime soon. Not that I don't like it. I like Inside Out 1 very much. But the thing is, I didn't watch it in the theater either. Because by the time it was released in Taiwan, I was about to head to the US. And when I arrived in the US, it's already out of the theater. And I thought I would be able to watch it on the plane, but I couldn't. So I thought, okay, I will just not watch it. So what? But then there's an outdoor event on my campus the first week of the semester. It was watching Inside Out on the school prayer. So that's what I did. I like it very much, but I guess I will wait when Inside Out 2 is on Disney Plus or something, in case someone invites me to go before it's out of the theater. It's best laid plans. Anyway, that's all we have for today. Hope you like the show and remember to tune in same time next week here at Screen Scream. I'm Viola. See you next time.